The 2020 NHL draft was just a few years ago, but it's already brought the NHL a new wave of stars that could potentially be a big time difference maker for the teams that drafted them. Now, whenever you do a redraft, you have to take into account how long these players have actually been in the league. And these players have really only been playing for a few years now, so really anything can change as they keep growing. Basically, I'll redraft these players based on what we have seen so far over the past few seasons and where I think they'll go potential-wise. Before we get started with today's video, I make daily NHL and hockey related content, so if you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure you do that now, and let's get right into it. With the first overall pick, the New York Rangers select Alexis Lafreniere, and maybe you're a fan of Laf's game, or maybe not, but I think he's been a little bit underwhelming since starting with the Rangers. Now, during his draft night, everybody was predicting he would be the next Crosby, and well, he just really hasn't hit that mark so far. Instead of drafting Alexis Lafreniere, I'll instead take Timmy Stützle, a guy who has really surprised everybody over in Ottawa. Now sure, Stützle is having a down year, being about a point per game player, but still that's pretty good for a guy who was taken 4th overall in the draft. Now Stützle had a breakout season last year, topping over 90 points, and has really excelled over with the Ottawa Senators. Now Ottawa has a great young core, so Stützle fits in perfectly there, but I think adding him to this New York Rangers team, he would thrive in that market. Stützle's kind of a big time player, and playing alongside guys like Zibanejad, Panarin, and Kreider would really give him that experience and chance in the playoffs that he's been looking for since being drafted. I really love Stützle's game. I think he has great puck handling skills, is a natural goal scorer, and plays with an edge that's hard to find in a lot of players. I'm taking him number 1 over Lafreniere. I can see why some people would still stick with Alexis, but I think Stützle is the clear number 1 in this draft. With the 2nd overall pick, the LA Kings selected Quinton Byfield, and in my redraft, I actually have them taking Jake Sanderson at number 2. This reselection is less about Quinton Byfield because I think he's going to be a stud in this league, but more about Sanderson just being a good fit for the LA Kings. The Kings have a ton of forwards in their farm system, but I feel like with Drew Doughty getting a little bit older, they could use another solid top-line defenseman coming up through their system to really take over when he decides to retire, and that would actually make them an incredibly scary playoff contender this year if your top line was Sanderson and Doughty. Sanderson's a perfect fit for the Kings, and with the lack of Quinton Byfield, he would not only add defense but also offense to this team. He's a skilled defender with a dangerous slap shot and has quick edges. His puck handling skills are off the charts, and I think he would just be a perfect fit for this Kings system. Now, I'm not sure if people have him going this high, but I really like Jake Sanderson's game. I think he's incredible in Ottawa and would be a great piece for the LA Kings to add moving forward. With the 3rd overall pick, the Ottawa Senators selected Tim Stützle, but since he's been taken with the 1st overall pick, instead the Senators opt to take a defenseman in Brock Faber. Faber was actually taken in the 2nd round of this draft, but has quickly become a hidden gem for the Minnesota Wild. Faber is currently playing first-line defensive minutes with the Wild, averaging 25 minutes of ice time, and has blossomed into a strong NHL defenseman in his rookie season. Rarely do we see rookies get the opportunity to play on a top line, but when they do get that opportunity and they're this successful in such a short period of time, it's just incredible to watch. I think Brock Faber would be a nice piece for the Senators. They're a young up-and-coming team, and without Sanderson, he would for sure be getting those top-line minutes that Ottawa would be lacking without him. Faber doesn't get enough attention because of how strong his rookie class is, but don't be fooled, he's going to be a stud defenseman in this league. With the 4th overall pick, the Detroit Red Wings selected Lucas Raymond. He's been great for the team, especially this season, but there's one guy that's still available in my redraft that I would love to see in a Red Wings sweater. Instead of taking Lucas Raymond, the Detroit Red Wings instead select Quinton Byfield. Call me crazy because Raymond has definitely been a better player so far if you compare their careers, but personally, I just see Byfield having a greater ceiling, and he's shown some flashes like this goal of the year candidate he put forth this year that really make me high on this guy. Byfield has the size to be a physically dominant forward, but also has the speed and hands of a smaller guy. I can see why you would choose Raymond over Byfield, but like I said at the start, potential is a big factor in my redraft, and I think Byfield was chosen at number 2 for a reason. I think if you put Byfield on this current Detroit team, he would be lighting it up. I love him as a player, and his potential is just so high right now, I would be kind of stupid to not take him in this spot. With the 5th overall pick, the Ottawa Senators selected Jake Sanderson, who has been a really fantastic player for them. Unfortunately, he was taken earlier in the draft, so Ottawa will instead opt to take Lucas Raymond. Raymond gets dropped one spot in my draft, but realistically, if you swapped him in Byfield, either way I think both teams would win. Raymond has showed a lot of promise in his first few years with the Red Wings. He had a down season last year, but has really picked things up this year, having 57 points in 68 games played. Raymond has an excellent wrist shot and plays a competitive brand of hockey. He's a great defensive asset as well and has helped improve both the power play and the penalty kill for Detroit. I think he would fit in well with Ottawa since they're in a similar rebuilding stage to Detroit and would definitely add a nice scoring touch to their team. Adding some more young forwards to this group and changing up the core may push Ottawa over the hump. I think he would be a perfect fit over there with the Sens. With the 6th overall pick, the Anaheim Ducks selected Jamie Drysdale, who was recently traded to the Flyers in exchange for Cutter Gauthier. Drysdale shows a lot of promise and should be a great defenseman in Philly. His one knock though is that he really can't stay healthy and has missed a pretty big chunk of his career so far. Instead of selecting Drysdale, the Ducks instead select Alexis Lafreniere. Now Laf does fall a little bit in this draft, but still deserves a top 10 selection. Lafreniere was compared to players like Crosby when being scouted, but since joining the Rangers he's been, well, fine. Nothing special, just a solid middle six forward. Laf has a scorer's touch, but playing on a Rangers team that has stars like Zibanejad, Panarin, Trocheck, and Kreider, there will naturally be less opportunities for him to play than say someone like Jack Hughes, who has taken on that top star role in New Jersey. Going to Anaheim, Lafreniere will have the opportunity to play some top line minutes because the Ducks are more center heavy with their depth and could use a natural goal scoring winger to add to their group. Every year Lafreniere seems to be getting better, so I expect this trend to continue and for him to develop into a point per game player. Remember, these guys are all so young, so be patient, things can always get better, but I just like the fit of Laf being on more of a rebuilding team. I think he would get more opportunities there and thrive in a more star driven role. With the 7th overall pick, the New Jersey Devils select Alexander Holtz. Holtz has 31 points in 96 games played and has showed some promise in his short New Jersey career. Instead of Alexander Holtz, the New Jersey Devils instead take Cole Perfetti. Perfetti moves up a few spots in my redraft for how great he's been with the Winnipeg Jets. Perfetti has the same amount of points this season that Holtz has in his career, but in 33 less games played. Perfetti plays quick and has good awareness on the ice. He's a small center who lacks size, but makes up for that with his speed and quick hands. Perfetti also has a very lethal shot and can rip the puck in an instant. Perfetti's played very well with the Winnipeg Jets so far in his career, and I guarantee he will be seeing more time on the ice as he continues to grow his game. If New Jersey added this guy with their pick, they would be upgrading from Holtz, adding yet another solid young forward to their core. I really like the match of the Devils and Perfetti. I think he would work very well with that organization. With the number 8 overall pick, the Sabres select Jack Quinn with their pick. Quinn, again, like all of the players on this list, will potentially be a good piece for them, but based on the results right now, there are better forwards in this draft that could be taken in this spot. Instead of taking Jack Quinn, the Sabres instead select Seth Jarvis. Jarvis was originally taken 13th overall by the Carolina Hurricanes, so he gets a bump in my redraft. Jarvis has been awesome with the Canes since joining their team. He's transitioned into the league flawlessly and was a solid 40-point scorer up until this season, where he now has 53 points in 68 games played. What's not to love about Jarvis? The guy's a beauty. Off-ice personality is fantastic, but on ice his playmaking skills are just incredible. He has excellent hands and great vision, but most importantly he can score, and that's something Buffalo could really use this year with their offense having a down year. Jarvis has been great in Carolina and will be for years to come, but add him to this young Buffalo core, place him on a line with Tage Thompson, and watch him pop off even more. With the 9th overall pick, the Minnesota Wild selected Marco Rossi, and in my redraft, they take Marco Rossi again at number 9. Rossi has a lot of talent and seems to be playing very well with the Wild in his first season. The Wild have needed a strong center with a lot of upside for a while now, and I think Rossi fits that description perfectly. He's an excellent skater who has great hands and can quickly move around the ice with his speed. Rossi also is a strong center that can protect the puck well and isn't pushed around so easily. He has 35 points in 68 games played this year with the Wild and seems to be handling the pressure of second-line center rather well with this young Minnesota roster. I like the fit of Rossi in Minnesota. I feel like he's going to be a great center for them moving forward. I'll keep Rossi at number 9. With the 10th overall pick, the Winnipeg Jets selected Cole Perfetti. Perfetti has been such a solid forward for the Jets, but being such a valuable asset, he was taken earlier in this draft. Instead, the Jets decided to select Connor Zary with their 10th overall pick. Zary is a high-skill center that currently plays for the Calgary Flames. This kid has been pretty awesome this season and has shown some flashes of the type of player he's going to be in the NHL. Zary is a high IQ playmaker and a strong 200-foot player. He plays strong defensively and has a great offensive touch, being able to make slick passes and also score the puck anywhere on the ice. This is Zary's first official season in the NHL, and he's been pretty impressive so far with 29 points in 50 games played. There was also some conversation about him potentially winning the Calder Trophy if Connor Bedard wasn't popping off the way he has been since coming back from the injury. Maybe it's crazy because I love the fit of Perfetti in Winnipeg, but I think Zary has a lot of upside and is well worth it for the Winnipeg Jets in this redraft. But this is my NHL 2020 Draft Redraft. Remember, all of these players are still incredibly young and there is time for them to find their game or continue to grow, so don't give up on any of these players. This is just based on what we know so far, given that the teams could have taken some of these players a little bit higher. Comment what you would change about my list and any other draft that you want me to redraft next. Like this video, subscribe to the channel. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.